Hello and welcome to Mommy Dentist and Business Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Grace Yam, and I'm just really, really excited. And I hope that you can feel my energy through this audio recording. And for those of you who don't know, I just want to say the history of MDibs podcast. We started 8 years ago, is a true audio podcast only. Now we've got video blogging and video like vlogging podcasts, right? We have opened up that segment on our YouTube page. So if you are one of those YouTube like need to watch everything, you can watch this on our YouTube as well. And that is the exciting part about information is that everyone learns differently and everyone likes to use different tools. And my guest speaker today is going to teach us a little bit about using tools for you and your team and how to use it effectively, efficiently, and implement like right away. Our guest today is not a newbie. He is a returning guest, Parham Nabatian, the co-founder of DocSites. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, and we're so happy to be a part of the MDips community, and it's been so nice connecting with everybody.
Well, I have to say, everyone has been really happy with DocSites and all your team members. I only hear good things, and it's just a testament of how good you guys are and how much you help the mommy dentist. And we are grateful for this relationship. I want for new listeners who don't know you, because for those that listen all the time, they'll know who you are. But a real quick refresh for the new listeners about who you are and what you do.
So, about 17 years ago, just a quick story, we started a marketing firm, and one of my good friends opened up his first office in Vegas, a dental office. And he's like, hey, I have this much money. Can you help me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we worked together and we helped him grow from 1 to 10 offices. So what was really cool about that experience as a marketer is I wasn't just marketing externally, like search engine optimization and reviews. I was actually going to his office because we were really close friends. So I would go sleep at his house. His wife is an orthodontist. His, family members were dentists. So I got really involved in dentistry in a hands-on level. Like when he would go buy a new office, he would have me go look at it with him,
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what's been great is that was the start. And then we noticed other people calling us. We had a lot of really happy clients. They would tell their friends. And, once you get in dentistry, you kind of don't leave.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. Once you're in our community, you're in our community. We won't let people go, but I do feel like people who do step out for a minute come back. So I always see that happening, and that's a true testament of how powerful dentistry is today and how powerful networking is, and how dentistry is not just about teeth and patients, but it's every tool that you need to make it work so that you're bringing comfort to your patients and service. My next question is for websites, how does a website shape perceived credibility, professionalism, and ultimately conversion, getting that patient to call and book an appointment?
Right. So I want to first talk about conversion, okay? Because that's conversion means someone views your site, interacts with you online, your Google profile, your website, right? And then decides to make an appointment with you, right? And I want to just say something funny because my wife loves to shop. She goes online. If she sees something she wants, she's going to hit click to buy, right? Unfortunately, dentistry is not like that, right? It's
Right.
not like all the Amazon boxes that are in my front door every day. So
Ah,
dentistry is kind of different, right? It's like a tool. I mean, it's like a healthcare that people kind of avoid, right? It's like a way to stay healthy, but people don't necessarily think they have to do it all the time, right? I can't tell you how many friends I have that don't go for a year, to their
mm,
dentist. I go every 3 or 4 months. So conversion, to take a step back to that, is that that person that visits your
Mm,
website or reads about you now
mhm,
decides, I need to make an appointment with this office, right? So that's where the website doesn't get thought about enough, in my opinion, by offices, by the dentist, by the team, right? So you have to think like every time someone interacts with us on Google, our website, our Instagram, our Facebook, because,
mhm,
right, people are looking at you in multiple different platforms. How can we ensure that they now are engaged to the point that they say, let me book that appointment, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
credibility is the first step, right? Like, first step is I need to know who you are as a person, your bio, right? And what you bring to the table, right? Professionalism is the next step, is like, how capable is your dental office, right? If you're just bread and butter, I don't want to even use the word just, if you do bread and butter and you don't do more, that's such a beautiful thing to communicate, because a lot of people just want that type of dentistry, right? So if they come there, don't feel scared that that's all you do and that's all you're communicating, right? Like, we're a straightforward office, right? And conversion is, I think, moving towards convenience and answering questions, right? You and I just had this beautiful conversation about AI. I think everything is moving towards conversation, right? Like, everything's going to be like, a couple of my teeth are sensitive in the back. What can I do for that, right? And what are you doing on your website to then answer those questions? And then even talk about, if you're big on preventative and functional dentistry, talk about how that is your model and what you do with sensitive teeth, right? So these are the things that I think convert.
I think that's really great. And honestly, I'm going to insert this in here that it's getting harder. And what I mean by that, for all the doctors who are in this like Gen X, right? That's not what we grew up with. It's not what we had, wasn't even the website at first. We had the yellow pages, right? So back then it was yellow pages, and then you needed a website. And then it became like 10 years later, it became like Google and pay for Google ads and pay per click. And honestly, every 10 years, I feel like every 5, 10 years, something comes in that is it's disruptive, right? Because when websites became a thing, maybe 3 years after that, Facebook began. And then Facebook wasn't what it was then, though. Facebook was purely to find your friends. It wasn't about businesses and marketing and commercials. Instagram wasn't even part of Meta. Everything evolves. And I feel that the doctors who move with the evolution, the doctors who are on board saying, okay, we have to do the next thing, you're going to get left behind, because you can only have so many internal referrals, right? You're only going to have so many. And so the new doctors coming in, the new offices opening up, they are adopting all these techniques that you're suggesting. And you're saying, the website plus the social media plus everything else, it's really important to make sure you stay up on top of it, because someone like me, back again when I had practices and businesses, you know, um, TikTok wasn't even in existence. You didn't market on social media, but we would make a website and then set it and forget it. Like we wouldn't touch it for 10 years. The only thing
Yeah.
we changed was like some of the pictures or like the team member pictures, right? So what would you say that you to doctors who are listening? Zoe, sorry, that was my daughter. She's trying to, her phone calls go through my do not disturb. I'm going to start this over. What would you say to doctors who are maybe slower to adapt, and slower to change their website, slower to create social media? Just kind of want to insert there, because this question bridges to the next question. what would
Sure.
you say to that doctor?
I'd say you said something about just not relying on internal referrals, right? But let me kind of talk about the internal referrals item, right? Nowadays, what do we do? I don't know how you are, but like Dr. Grace, like I go to my group chat of my buddies, like we have a group chat called Super Dads, even, like where we ask
Oh,
each other, like, who's like the pediatric dentist you go to? We all kind of live in the same area. We literally ask these type of questions. And imagine now everyone in the chat says the dentist they use, right? So three different dentists get mentioned out of like eight of us in the group chat. If your web presence doesn't match what is going to get me enticed to convert, then now you're missing out, right?
mm,
So that's kind
hmm,
of where you got to be at. I
mm,
think a lot of people, what happens is there's this gap between dental marketing and
hmm,
realistic expectations. And it's,
hmm,
you know, you can't hold all your colleagues accountable, but like let's add 30 new patients a month thing doesn't work anymore. That's
hmm,
done, right? But let's make a really great web presence so that you
hmm,
could get throughout the year 20 to 30 plus more quality patients, right?
hmm.
That's there. That's for the taking at very low cost, but
Sure.
some effort from the dental practice, right? So being left behind is not having that mentality. It's having the mentality of like, well, it's either I got to go 10,000 a month in Google ads or do nothing. But
Mm,
there's a bridge in the middle where like I could get 30 new more patients for the year that now that keeps adding and adding and adding because they'll refer their friends, and in 5 years that's now a different level of production that grew because
mhm.
I worked on that with being active on your website. Does that make sense what I
No,
mean?
no, it totally makes sense because, when we think about when we're looking for doctors or we're looking for a service, right? We'll ask our friends first, right? Because you're going to ask your friend, another example, where do you go for yoga? Or where do you go for your haircut? Or where do you take your kid to do XYZ? That friend or whatever text chain you're on or whoever you're texting, like let's say you're on a text chain of all the school moms, right? Like fifth grade boys moms or seventh grade girl moms. And you go in there and ask, and then what they're going to do is they're going to say, we go to Dr. So and so, here's his website. The most common question in the middle school years is, who's your orthodontist?
Right,
That is the
exactly.
number one question is who's your orthodontist? And they'll put in the website of the orthodontist. They're not sending the orthodontist Facebook. They're not sending the orthodontist Instagram. They're sending your website. And so now the parent has to then go to the website and look at it, and there's going to be a look and a feel. Then you're maybe going to go to Yelp, and then maybe you're going to go to social media. But you take your friend's request seriously. Like you said, three different doctors might be mentioned or three different places. They might be like, well, I go here or I go here, or tell them like Jason sent you or whatever. Um, but then you go and you look and you're like, oh, like, what are these credentials? Right? Like, you're starting to look at the credentials. Like, how long have they been doing this? Like,
Exactly.
where is the trust like, they're looking for a trustworthy doctor, like, with that, like, whatever they're looking for. So the next question is, how does a practice balance showing off their clinical excellence with building trust, right? Because your friends are raving about you, and then you go to the website, but now you have to build, like you said, there's like a gap, right? Like now the website has to speak for itself. Like your friend vouched for it, but now your patient vouched for you. Well, your website better look good because
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
gonna look at three websites.
Yeah, and the photos have to be updated. It has to give a team feel. And you just gave me like a great idea for ortho practices, like targeting content specific to, age groups, right? Like this is what we have. And we do this. Like if someone comes as an ortho, like Invisalign for adults or Invisalign for teens, right? Or clear, whatever it is, it's got to talk to that audience. And I think in terms of the whole social media and website, I think a lot of people are thinking it has to be this Hollywood production, right?
Mm,
But the
mhm,
reality is, I always say there's two things that make a website great. One is it has to be optimized, right? So the technical build of the site, which honestly, a lot of the companies in our circles of these communities, they do a really good job of it, right? So at that point, you got to pick like your price point, who you vibe with, what level of service you want, right? So
mhm,
number two, I hate to say it, but it's on the practice. Because if you make a website with us, I just had actually a mommy member email me and say, hey, can I change out some of the photos on the service pages, and I messaged her back. I'm like, I would love for you to do that. Please, like, send this over. So if you are in growth mode and you're like, hey, I want to make moves, you have to get those personalized photos, right? You have to get question and answers. So, you're so good at, Dr. Grace, like, you're so good at, like, following the AI trend. I've been following you and,
oh,
making
thank you.
use of it. One thing that I think is becoming really big is like FAQs and answering these questions, right? Like, and I think that's the next step is sit with your team and say, hey, how do we replace our time with answering patient questions, right? Like, I get so many websites demoed from current websites where they don't even have the insurances they accept.
Mm,
As a parent,
mhm,
now I got to call your office. Your staff member has to sit there and like tell me if they accept it or not, or like basic questions, right? Like my 1 year old for some reason has like TMJ, like you could hear her clicking, right? Her So like imagine if I go and search like in my chat with my AI, who works on this type of case, and you're a pediatric dentist and you do. If you don't have that on the site, you're missing out on winning a new patient over.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, which bridges this question of what's an overlooked element, right? You're talking about things that are overlooked on a website that could potentially cost them a new patient.
Yeah, so there's many elements that get overlooked. I think number one is exactly what I was just saying about like the new patient page, right?
Mm, mhm,
Making the new patient section more thorough. I've been pushing that a lot more for the people who work with us, is not just like create the generic, because we have our generic content. I actually
mhm,
want them to like work on that item specifically, on like what is the experience? What does the first appointment look like? What insurances do we accept, right? And we
mhm,
even added, to take that step further, we even added an AI support on the site that it's an additional fee. I want to be transparent about that. And it does voice hours after. So we don't want it to replace people. We want it to replace voicemail, because if I just leave you a voicemail, it doesn't work anymore, right?
mhm, mhm,
So what it does now is it has these lists of questions you can click and it answers. So the office will spend 2 hours. I know 2 hours is a long time that no one
mhm.
has, but I promise you, those initial 2 hours are gonna save tens of hours throughout the year. And payroll in California is very expensive, right?
Very expensive.
So if you could spend that time, and it answers so many detailed questions, like if I'm looking for cosmetic treatments, what are the items you offer for me? If I have an emergency, when's the next appointment? And it connects to the three major patient management systems. But what I love is some of the newer ones that I think are your sponsors, and I'm actually pushing one to become your sponsor too. They also work with the sites to answer questions. So when someone's trying to book an appointment online,
Yep.
it's doing the work for you. I'm telling the offices right now, if you're not adding these tools, the busy moms and dads, they're not calling your office to spend 10 minutes with your staff. They want to
Mhm.
go on the site,
Yeah.
chat, or book the appointment and move forward. So I hope that answers your question, you
No,
know?
it does. It's really important that you mention that because nowadays that's what people want to do. They want convenience and speed. They don't want to pick up the phone. They don't want to sit there and go through 3 minutes with like press zero, press one, press two. They just want to get it done. And like you said, having like a landing page for new patients, whether it's FAQs, whether whatever, but the more detailed it is, the more that search engines or AI can find those answers and bring up your practice and then recommend it to the patient. And like you said, being more efficient, a lot of the pain points of dentistry right now is the lack of human capital, lack of people working in an office. And how do we fight that or how do we combat that? By using tools to free up time so that whoever is in the office is doing efficient work. And that might look different for different practices. But like you had mentioned, optimization, right? So that a patient isn't tying up the phone and tying up your front desk, who's the only one at the front desk. She's spending 10 minutes talking to someone, telling about what dental insurances they take, when that could have been an answer on a website. And then she
Exactly.
didn't have to be on the phone for 10 minutes, right? And so I feel like there's a lot of inefficiencies in a practice that can be overcome, but you need to look at it with a different lens. And we were earlier talking about all the, like our tech stack in an office, right? The tech stack all of a sudden in a dental office is starting to get higher and higher, right? Like you have your Dentrix or whatever, your software practice management software, right? Then you're going to add something like Practice by Numbers, and then you're going to add Mango or Weave, and then you're going to add Lighthouse or whatever. You're adding all these things, Yappy, Bird Eye, whatever. Uh, and then, but then you're not even utilizing everything to the like maximum 100% that the tool offers. So I wanted you to maybe go into that about ensuring that you have digital software success rather than paying for 5 different companies.
Exactly. And I'm trying to learn this myself more because what I'm learning, because I always check in with my clients, and what I'm learning is the clients that are using these softwares to the maximum ability and working on their scheduling, right? So that I'm not a clinical person, so I can't give feedback on how you should do scheduling exactly. And I know you have so many resources for everyone, right? But your scheduling should now tie into these tools, right? So like
Right.
if you're not working together on that, you're missing out on like same day appointments, which can
Mm,
be really high production, right? Like I'm big on that. Like a lot of my happy clients that are doing big numbers, they start taking more same day. So what goes back to the patient management tools, right? So let's just call them that. Which Mango offers some really cool things that I just learned about with their like voice support, and obviously Weave has 20 things that you could do from chat to monthly emails, and like it becomes where you have to do the initial work to save you time, right? So that's what us marketing companies and us businesses that sell to dentists do really well, right? Like we get your info, we do the demo, we put the notes in a see what we call a customer relationship management tool, and then, but then the dental offices don't do that. And they
mhm.
have, thousands of patients, right? Like you're in some of these SoCal communities, there's hundreds of thousands of people
Yeah.
that have called you. So if you're only relying on your website, Google Ads, or your reviews, you're missing out on like half the pie, right? So half the pie is the whole patient relationship management. And one of the things we didn't talk about was that when you make videos about your office, right? So we talked about like building credibility. So my first client, what I did for him, I said, "Look, I'm going to pay for your first video." He didn't want to pay for it. This was 17 years ago, right? And what he missed out on was building that credibility and trust, right? So if I watch your video, now I want to make an appointment. I make an appointment with you, but I don't do the full treatment that you recommended, right? How are you then following up with me throughout the year? Are you then going to just send generic info that like Weave has? Or are you going to sit and make some personalized content that matches your practice model? Guess what? In a year, when now I have time, I will do the treatment, right? Or I have my sister's wedding is coming up in a year. Now I'm going to do the clear aligner case because I don't want to have that, bad smile in the photos, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. And I'm glad that we're talking about this because doctors who are overwhelmed and busy right now, right? Like, what's the number one excuse that you hear?
I think it's like every parent, right? We're doing it's like time, but it's a battle that I've personally had in my life where I don't sometimes want to do the harder part in the beginning to because it's just
Yeah.
easier for me to do it every time,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's easier for me to manage it. And I think I saw this recently that's great. Like the dentist should be doing dentistry, the hygiene should be doing hygiene, and the staff should be doing the staff work, right?
Right.
So if you guys are doing the work that you shouldn't be doing all the time, you're gonna be losing in production because the margins are getting less for every business. It's not, I see it every day in the dental groups, like our margins are, it's for all of us, right? Everything's getting less. So you have to make everyone perform at their highest level. And I think again, like the website needs to now be a performance tool for you. You should audit it. You should say, hey, are we spending this much? And then not only getting the new patients, but is it saving our staff time?
Right. Absolutely. The staff time is really key. And I think with so many tools that we have access to now, I feel like there's not as many excuses, right? Like the staff can't give you all these excuses. And you're like, well, I've given you every tool that you have to do this. So I think that there's so much room for efficiency if you have the right tools and then the right people and the right training. But for the doctors who are kind of dragging their feet, where's the first place to start?
I would say do an audit. I mean, that's on terms of the front end, like do an audit of your web presence first. Make sure all the data on there is accurate in terms of what doc sites can help you with, right? Like go look at your site, look at the new patients page. And even if you want to demo our chat just to make sure like it fits your needs, I can show you a couple clients and their reviews and you could actually log in and use it too and test it for free.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that way, and then internally, this is another problem. Like, don't spend so much time in meetings, right? Because then it becomes a waste of time. But check in with every aspect of the practice, right? Make sure, hey, are we doing everything efficiently, right? Because
Hmm. Hmm.
there's so much money being lost in my opinion, and then with those third party tools, like I know practice by numbers really well. Built a friendship with them. They offer so much in there. Like I bet like some of my clients that haven't aren't using everything in there, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna assume that because they don't have time to learn every aspect, right? So it might be worth spending a night saying, hey, what can we do to replace staff? Mango has like really cool things with their AI tools now too, so that I've learned that they do. And then with the website, like always, like set up a Zoom with the people you work with, right?
Yeah.
Like you should do that every 6 to 12 months. Hey, like what can I update on the site? What's missing on my site? We we're the good companies don't hide. They want to talk to you. On our end, we send a monthly newsletter saying here are things you could do better, you
Mhm.
know?
Well, I love that. That's really great to hear and great to know. It keeps patients coming through the door and keeping them and retaining them. So, my last question for you as super dad is how are you finding balance on being a dad and running doc sites?
So it's what we just talked about. I try to delegate a little bit more. It's very hard to do that, right? And as you know, this age, I have a almost a 4 year old and a 1.5 year old.
Mhm.
I'm not getting this time back, so I always remind myself that. So delegating, giving one big lesson I learned this year, I actually should share this, is there's some things that I'm really good at that I can do better than other people in my office. I'm
Mhm.
going to be honest that I really feel that way. The results show, but I handed them off so that people could learn it. And even
Mhm.
if they perform it at 80% to my 100%, I'm noticing now they're getting to the 90%. And guess what? I just saved an hour each day, even though I could do it better. And yes, there's some losses that you take throughout the year, but now I'm not as involved in certain things that they can do better, you know?
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for being with us, listeners. You got some really great tips that you can use and make sure that you are up to date and make sure that you're looking at all of your technology in your office to be as efficient as possible. And if you're headed to the CEO experience in July in Chicago, you can meet Parham there. He is one of our sponsors. And the CEO experience is a little mini take of our CEO roundtable, and it's a little taste of it. It's a day and a half. And just follow us online, follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We do have a public Facebook page called the Media Network page. So follow us there and have a great day. We will see you soon. And don't forget to sign up for the Social Summit, which is also in September in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. I am so excited as we get closer to that date. It is 7 minutes literally walking down the street and you're right into the heart of Georgetown where all the restaurants and shopping is. It's such a great location, great speakers, great exhibitors. It's a wonderful time to get away. Some people bring their husbands and families, and some people come by themselves or some people come with friends. All are welcome. If you're not a mommy dentist and you're a female dentist and want to join, you're more than welcome to come. We have associates come. We have doctors who bring their daughters who are in dental school or dental associates. So we are more than welcome, to invite everyone who's interested. So catch it on our website at mommydibs.com. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great day.